We almost died multiple times in the same afternoon.
Let's talk about that.
Good morning, Chia Lincoln. It is Thursday, February 3rd, 2011.
Yes. Now, we can't avoid the fact that there is a snowpocalypse happening. 1/3 of the United States of America is being inundated with snow and
We can't
ice.
avoid the fact. We can't avoid the fact, but we did avoid snowpocalypse. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It's beautiful there in North Carolina. You should move here.
Well, don't rub it in, Rhett. We got to feel their pain.
Okay, we feel your pain.
The pain of the coldness. So we thought it would be a good idea to tell a heartwarming story, something to warm the soul, if not the body, if you find yourself in a region of the earth which is frigid today, especially Chicago.
We know you're cold out there, but we just ask that you would just grab your significant other and warm up next to the...
This has to stop.
Cuddle up with them next to the fire with a nice hot cup of cocoa and listen to Rhett and Link talk about the time they almost died.
Multiple times in one afternoon in high school. A heartwarming tale of survival. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Now, so we both had our driver's license. We were in high school.
Yeah, there was a time that was true.
We were 17 years oldish.
This was senior year.
Okay.
17, yep.
And
I had turned 18 because this was February of our senior year.
Okay.
I was 18.
It was February. And, here in North Carolina, we may not be inundated with snow all the time, but it is cold. But sometimes at the end of winter or in late February, a day will come where there's a ray of hope that spring is on its way. It'll be a day where it's like beautiful and it's like 75 degrees outside. It's like
out of nowhere,
spring is here.
And we had a habit. We had something that we had done since we were little kids, and that was go swimming in the Cape Fear River, which is a big river right there where we grew up, and they made a movie about it called Cape Fear starring De Niro. It's scary. We used to swim in that all the time. And we would swim in this like after school, after high school, when the school got out, even if we were 18 years old, if it was warm enough, we'd go and we'd swim in this river. And we would find new places along the river to go swim.
And to explore the woods around the river, because there was lots of hills and...
Right, so...
It was cool.
All of a sudden, it's February, but it's 75 degrees. Well, let's go explore a new part of the river. Now,
we haven't been able to go all winter. We've been chomping at the bit.
One thing to keep in mind. I'm on the basketball team. I'm actually what some might call a basketball star. I'm one of our key players. And
you might call yourself that.
Well, I started and I was the leading scorer, and I set a record. Okay, I didn't make this up. It just happened. It's a part of history. Look it up.
And I might also point out that
you were on the soccer team. Okay, now
in middle school, I kept school for the girls' basketball team.
You kept score.
It's not an easy job.
So anyway, I'm supposed to be at the first round of the state playoffs for the basketball team. This is important.
Well, that's at like 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And you get out of school at 3 o'clock, and it's the most beautiful day of the year. What else can we do? Let's go down to the river. Let's explore a new segment of the river that we never got to before winter set in.
I'll be back in time for the state playoffs. Sure, no problem.
So we drive my 1987 red Nissan two-wheel drive pickup.
She was beautiful.
Down to the river, as close as we can get down this muddy dirt road. And we get out, and we knew this place we wanted to explore, and it was basically... You've got the Cape River coming down, and part of the Cape River split off like a little tributary. I don't know if that's the proper term, but basically a little creek came off, and then it went back into the river, so it formed an island. We wanted to explore this island.
Yeah.
And that's all we had planned. That's all you need to plan, right?
So we get down there next to this little offshoot of the river that we're going to explore, and it's basically like a creek, like 20 feet across, right? And
maybe 30 feet.
We're sitting there, and... Link is in front of me, and I'm like, just go for it, Just step into it. I mean, it's a creek. What could happen?
And I will say that's what we would normally do. We would just, it doesn't matter how murky or nasty or stagnant the water was, we would just step into it, walk across it, and if it got too deep, we'd swim across it.
So, Link, this is my perspective.
First, it's like, well, let's at least take our shirts off. You don't want to get I had on one of my favorite T-shirts.
So I see Link in front of me, and he just takes a step off the bank of the river, and I expect him to just, land in like 2 feet of water, up to his knees or something. He completely disappears. He completely goes under, head gone. So I panic, and I'm like, I got to go too, and I just jump in after him.
And what you didn't know that I found out seconds before you was that the water was frigid.
40 degrees.
No, it was
45 degrees.
So I don't know if you've ever gone swimming in water that cold, with nothing but shorts and tennis shoes on, even if you have clothes on. Your body goes into this survival mode where
shock.
It goes into shock. So like I come up and I'm like, it's getting gross.
Sounded like a chicken.
And I was still thinking, I've got to get across. It wasn't, I'm going to go back. So
right.
So I start swimming across the creek, and then I hear you splashing behind me. And the way that your body works when it tries to not kill itself or allow you to kill it,
all the blood goes to the internal organs and leaves your extremities. So your extremities begin to function a little bit differently. It's like all of a sudden you're a T-Rex. It's like, and T-Rexes, I don't know if you've ever seen this before, they do not swim well.
And they're stupid. An extremity is also your head, so the blood leaves your brain, at least in my experience, and you get stupider and stupider. So I'm like, I can make it, even though I'm going to die. You cannot swim, and it's like trying to swim in concrete that's setting, because there's no blood in your arms or legs.
But we eventually...
I was convinced that you were dead, and I just had to make it on my own.
Well, that was a wrong assumption. We both made it to the other side, and the only thing I remember is getting where I started to feel the bank and T-Rexing my way up onto the bank, and then laying there, completely almost, 90% dead, and looking over and seeing Link looking at me. Like he was like 10 feet away, and we were just kind of looking at each other with this blank stare like, we didn't die.
But I thought you might be dead. You look like a dead fish on the bank.
We sat there motionless and speechless 10 minutes.
Because we couldn't move. I tried to move, and it was like there was no movement in me.
But then we're like, well, here we are on this island. After a while, we did recover. Let's get up and explore.
We saw some deer tracks, and it was like, let's track this deer. It's on the island. It's going to be trapped. We can like get it to the point of the island, and then we can tackle it. So we're like tracking a deer that we never saw. We just saw the tracks.
Yeah, we almost died, and then we decide, I'm not thinking about the playoff game. I'm thinking about this deer. Got to track this deer. What are we going to do? Can we tackle it? And
maybe
do what?
Eat it.
Take a bite out of it? I didn't know what the plan was. We didn't have a spear or anything.
Tame it.
So we tracked this deer all over the place, and then we eventually get all the way up to the north end of the island. And this is where there's just one creek. And we're like, okay, if we can cross over this one little spot, we can get back and we can go back home, because we couldn't find the deer. And so it was this place that all these logs had kind of gathered at the top of this little tributary, and Link started trying to cross, and he was about to sink, so he came back. So we had to come back, go down the island to the middle of the island, and then start making our way back across.
Like, oh, the creek's a lot smaller here. We can cross. So we cross, and then we realized, hold on, we're not over. Here's another creek. And then we had to cross another one. Make a long story short, each time we crossed the creek, it was equally frigid and an equal near-death experience.
We had to cross like 5 times.
8 times.
The creek, it was like a delta. The creek had like broken up into different streams, and we kept almost dying and then laying there looking at each other. And then we would recover, and then we would do it again, and it kept happening.
Because we had to get back at that point.
And then I'm starting to worry, like the sun is going down. I'm like, I got to play basketball tonight. I wasn't going to be physically ready for the game, but I was thinking I wasn't going to be physically present for the game. So we finally get back. We leave our shirts out there. We don't know where we actually came into the creek. So we're just 2 guys running around without our shirts off, just like shorts and tennis shoes and nothing else. And we're like running back trying to find Link's truck. We see the truck. We get in the truck. I'm like, this time I'm kind of panicking. I'm like, Link, I got to get back home. I got to take a shower. I got to put my uniform on. I got to get to the game.
I put it in gear. Zzz. We're in mud. We're stuck.
The truck does nothing. Link had this 87 Nissan that was like I don't know if it was a malfunction or like a lemon or just like a toy car. It didn't have 2-wheel drive. It had 1-wheel drive. Yeah. The back right wheel was the only wheel that had any power. So he like floored it, and it was just the back right wheel was going. spitting up mud everywhere.
So I'm like, Rhett, get out and push. Rhett opens the door, and I decide to give it one more last, and when I do, it throws mud up, cakes the entire inside of the door, totally messes up my speaker.
The right speaker never worked for the rest of the time that you owned that car.
And then you push it out, you made it to your game, and you won the state playoffs.
No, we lost.
That's our heartwarming story. If you want more details, you can make them up on your own. Let's check in with Chia Lincoln.
He looks like he's tried to cross a frigid creek and barely made it.
Enough said. We'll see you tomorrow. Every weekday, this is what we do. Thanks for joining us.